In regard to the war on small business, as I stated, it started during the Clinton era. It did not start with Barack the Beast Obama, who I call beastly, the Zionist hattie-duty puppet, who is now occupying the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., the district of conspiracy, the den of deceit, a den of vipers. It started with Clinton, and how it was done was the NAFTA Free Trade Act, which allowed all the other nations to trade with the United States for free at no cost. But if the United States traded with the other nations, it would cost the United States. This was done to debilitate the United States and to chase the big businesses out of America, which it did, because the businesses outsourced. They went to India, Pakistan, Israel, some to China, and other areas around the globe, under the premise that they would come back, the guys, once they recouped their profits that they claimed to be losing, which they were not. Of course, they never came back. Now, this war on small business in the 90s, during the Clinton era, when everyone thought the economy was so great, was a farce, because the economy was not great. What was great was the refinancing business. People were spending money that they really didn't have, that they went out and borrowed against the so-called equity in their homes, which were overvalued by bogus appraisals. I'm well aware of this fact. I was there and in the mortgage business as a correspondent lender from 1991 until 2007. In fact, I was forced into it because what had happened was I had a siding business in the 80s, which did very, very, very well. And then it was based on sales finance, where we did no money down financing and got any kind of home improvement passed regardless of the people's credit, if in fact they owned the home. David Dinkins, the communist Zionist mayor, Zionist puppet of New York, came down on all the contractors, and he did it very surreptitiously because he closed down the sales finance companies. And without financing, we were dead in the water. So I was forced, like many other contractors, to go to work for someone else. And I went to work for as many of the bigwigs, Harris Aluminum, many others, went to work for a character by the name of Big Rick, who was a very dear friend of mine. Big Rick was Big Rick. This guy would spend 10 grand a week on Fridays at the racetrack. I would go there with him sometimes, but I'm not a gambler. I gamble on my ability, not on a horse. Big Rick paid me, and I was the only one who got a draw. He actually paid me, and I made a guard strike me down dead for 6 months before he went out of business. $4,000 a week as a draw. No tax return, no tax ID. $4,000 per week plus gas, and gave me a town car. His town car, because he went out and bought a new Mercedes. And I did very well, of course. And this went on for 6 months until he was forced out. Then I went through a hiatus of no money for about 3-4 months, sporadically, I should say. Then it got a little better, and I became a mortgage broker. Then I said, frack this. If I'm going to be a mortgage broker, let me be a correspondent lender. And I was doing $3 to $5 million per month in the boroughs of Brooklyn, Harlem, Bronx, and Queens, New York. Did very, very well. This went on for years. People, believe me, were spending money that they really shouldn't have been spending. See, Americans are addicted to instant gratification. And what had happened was they took the equity out of their homes because they weren't doing too well, and they went out and spent it and got themselves deeper in debt. Hence, you see the results now in an open depression that's being masqueraded as a recession by a cabal of fakers, of international Jews who call themselves the Federal Reserve, which is not federal and has no reserves. The money that you have, and it even reads it at the top of every bill, is a note. And a note is a promise to pay. It's a promissory note in which the only collateral is you. And you could find that by Googling it or going to YouTube and finding out that you are listed on the stock exchange through your birth certificate with a $1 million bond. That's how much they consider your life. That's how much they think you'll contribute to them over the course of your life, be it short or long. That's the facts first, friends. So as far as the war on small business, let's not blame Obama. Obama is nothing more than a howdy-doody, most likely homosexual puppet. And I don't criticize him for his homosexuality. If he likes the big saws each, well, you know what? That's his predilection. He could do what he wants, but he certainly can't order me around, because as far as I'm concerned, disobedience to government is the only path to freedom. The obedient must become slaves. That's all, folks.